Want to capture an interior space as a 3D model using just your phone? In this RealityScan photogrammetry tutorial, I'll show you how you can scan an interior wall and corner using RealityScan Mobile, including how to use AR guidance to see your photo coverage and build a better point cloud as you scan. We'll look at the camera movement, overlap, parallax, and angles you need for a successful photogrammetry reconstruction, and what happens when you encounter difficult surfaces like blank white walls, reflections, and shiny objects. By the end, we'll turn this real interior into a textured 3D environment that can be used for virtual production, rendering, or other 3D projects. Let's start the scan. Here I have a nice interior wall that has some repeating patterns. This white surface can be problematic because it is no texture on it and might be confusing to the photogrammetry software, but we'll see how it goes. I'm going to try to get this corner and some of this floor. When we're scanning a wall, you want to move your camera parallel along the wall, creating parallax and overlap when you take your photos for photogrammetry. First, open up RealityScan, click the plus mark. And in this case, I'm going to use AR guidance mode. Press continue. And this works best if you have a Wi-Fi connection. So I'm going to start here, and then I'm going to just start taking pictures and moving along the wall. As I take my photos, they will be uploaded, and then RealityScan will begin processing the photos. And then I can see where I may have gaps in my coverage. Notice that I'm moving to the side. This gives me parallax between the photos. So I want to make sure I'm getting nice parallax and then changing the height. So now I'm changing and shooting down below. I'm also overlapping the photos by at least 60%. Since the white section doesn't have any texture and is difficult for photogrammetry, I'm making sure I capture part of the wall with the texture in the white section so it's able to stitch them together in the photogrammetry algorithm. And then I'm going to shoot at an angle down into the corner here. And you can see the photos are starting to float in space. This is the augmented reality. You can also see the point cloud being generated. Sometimes it's a good idea to go ahead and stop taking photos and allow the software to catch up and analyze the photos. Now I'm going to go ahead and get a parallel shot of the wall. You can see how it's capturing this. So in order to get a good scan, I'm going to start at the top, move down along the corner here. And I've gotten that good parallax. So that will start to be captured. And while I'm waiting for that to process, because I want to make sure my images are connected, I'm going to go up high here and get that top part of the wall. You can see now there's less points on the white because it doesn't really work with photogrammetry because there's not a lot of information for it to connect to. It's also a good idea to get a few oblique angles of the wall for photogrammetry. So I'll take an angle like this, and then I'll also come around this way and take an angle wall photo. This helps RealityScan get the depth it needs. It will also help to get the fire alarm here. Now I want this to be parallel to this wall and move parallel to it, creating parallax. I'm not going to worry about that glass section. I'm just trying to get the corner of the room right here. And then I'll move down. And then all the way down to the ground. Definitely need to change the height so you get parallax with your photos for photogrammetry. And here I'll shoot a bit more of the door. Always be moving. I definitely know this doorknob will need more information. There may not be enough coverage to be able to get this. Notice how I'm moving the angle and position of the camera for photogrammetry. We don't want to keep our camera still. We always want to be moving. So we get the parallax here. I'll let it start to analyze the images. And you can see how it's really starting to get that point cloud where we see all that green. That's really good coverage in RealityScan. The yellow and orange are warning us that maybe we don't have enough information for photogrammetry reconstruction. I'll take some more pictures where I see those sections. Now I'm trying to cover the top part of the wall. Definitely in this back corner, I have less coverage. I'm also going to shoot around the floor. The floor is a little shiny, but it'd be nice to have in the final reconstruction mesh. So I'm going to step back a bit, make sure I'm getting the floor. I have a warning that there's unconnected images, so I'm going to look around to see what they are. Sometimes that's just because they haven't been processed yet. Other times you can come back in and try to connect them in RealityScan. Here, it's the doorknob. So if I just try to take some more images of this door, hopefully it'll analyze the different images and connect them to the pictures of the doorknob. So now I'm trying to get more coverage. And as they get connected in, hopefully the doorknob will be reconstructed. Every point needs to be able to be seen by two photographs. I also want to get some perfectly parallel to the floor. Notice that there's reflections, so this will be a problem. It's always better not to have shiny surfaces, but of course sometimes they can't be avoided when you're trying to shoot photogrammetry. Now I'm shooting straight down onto the floor and making sure I get the parallax. I'm also going to move forward a considerable amount, and I'm still getting much of the same sections, but this is going to give me parallax and points from two different photos. I get a little bit of my shadow here. It's only in a few frames. Hopefully it is edited out by the software. Some of these are still unconnected, so I'm going to go ahead and let it continue analyzing the images. I wonder if I can just take a few more of this door. It's probably because the door has a shiny surface. I can also make sure I get this nice detail here of the door frame moving all the way down. And then I can get this detail. So sometimes you won't be able to find your object, so just move back to where you might have started scanning, and then RealityScan will use its augmented reality to try to find where you started. So I'm moving back to find the object. It is analyzing the images. This is a lot sometimes for the phone to process. Now it is all recovered. It's still only analyzing some of the images. So we'll see how that all gets connected together. And as I move around, I can continue to take shots where I see gaps in the point cloud coverage. Those yellow sections, especially up high there. Take some more oblique angles. I'm going to get this fire alarm just a little bit better, even though it won't be so seen in the scene. Now I'm at the 50 image limit of RealityScan, so I really want to make sure I'm using these last photos for photogrammetry in an efficient manner. Remember, I only need this wall and corner for something like virtual production, so I don't need to get everything in perfect detail. So kind of look around, see where you don't have good coverage. You can also get some oblique angles of the wall here. So if I'm going to try to get a little bit better coverage of that top part up there where we see all these yellow points, as I move along, making sure I have parallax, like a good 2D video game. Still not doing very well with that doorknob. I'm going to try to take some more photos. It may get that when it analyzes everything together, but for some reason, it's not able to get those images connected, probably because of the shiny texture on the doorknob surface. Shiny textures are difficult for photogrammetry. It's analyzing the images. I still have those red doorknob images, but you can see how I'm getting much more green on the rest of the wall in my point cloud. Here you can see I have some problems with the point cloud here, so I can just go ahead and take some more images of the floor there. And I'm less concerned about the doorknob because it's not the most critical part of my scene, but I'm just going to take a couple more shots here, trying to connect those images. And so I have a few images left. I'm going to let it process a little bit more, looking for any gaps that I can get. Sometimes you can help it out by reaching up really high. A selfie stick can help with this, but I think I'm getting pretty close. It'll probably get an unconnected image warning for these over here. And then once you've hit 300, we can go ahead and press the over arrow, and it'll continue analyzing the images. So just let that happen and it will analyze your point cloud. As you can see here, some of those images by the doorknob just aren't connected. Perhaps after all of them get analyzed, we will have that connected. Then once RealityScan Mobile is done analyzing your images, you can press next, or you can go back and capture more. If I really needed to get that door handle, I could go back, but I think that's going to be a small part of this photogrammetry project. Once I click next, I can rotate this to align the images with my capture zone, and I can capture the size. So here I'm getting a bit more. And if I rotate to the other side, I can decide how much of the ceiling that I want, and I can rotate that to be lined up. Look around to all the different sides that you want here. I think this is pretty good. I need to click next and then continue the process. Give it a name, call this hallway. I don't want to generate a watertight mesh. In this case, I do want a smooth mesh, and I'm going to go ahead and process the project. Once your model is done processing in RealityScan, you can open it up and then orbit around to see how it looks. In this particular case, even though I had some unconnected images by the handle, it did an okay job getting the geometry from the photogrammetry images. You would need so many more scans to get a full, complete rendering of this, but now I have a pretty good scene that I can use in virtual production, or just as a background, or in any kind of rendering. Of course, it would probably need a bit more coverage of this wall right here, but I was never going to get that because it was a white, smooth, textured surface. You can make multiple scans, and you can even export the pictures from RealityScan so you can add them in another desktop photogrammetry application. But for a mobile device, this is a pretty great capture. Then just click Export your 3D model, and you can export it to a cloud storage service or email it to yourself. Happy photogrammetry!